The things that is of concern to a lot of people regarding this bill is that the 34-page CSA amendment bill has certain dangerous parts in it, and that is why a lot of Ghanaians are worried about it. It's important to know that Ghana has experienced a significant rise in cybercrime, losing approximately 19 million cedis, that's around 1.8 million US dollars, during the first 9 months of 2025, marking a 17% increase compared to the same period in 2024. This is according to the Cybersecurity Authority, which was interestingly shared by Judge Edward Bessie, CSA's head of enforcement and liaison, during a cybersecurity awareness webinar. It's interesting to know that 36% of reported cases were cyber-related. This includes mobile money scams, fake investment schemes, and phishing attacks. Cyberbullying, which disproportionately affects women and young people, makes up for a quarter of all related and reported incidences. So bear that in mind while we talk about this other aspect of the bill. One of the things that jumps out of the sheet towards you is its power to arrest, freeze assets, access your data, all in the name of cybersecurity. Okay, so and the ability to do that is very, very controversial, because that also takes away the freedom to be a human and live in your country. In this case, with the CSA cybersecurity bill, they can now act as police, they can judge, and they can rule at the same time, almost like a judge and jury. The CSA officers, according to this document, even though interpreted from my own thoughts, though, if you have a look at it, you might have your interpretation about it. But what this document really entails is that it's telling you they can actually search, seize, and arrest even without the traditional police being involved. Okay, these people can necessarily, work into an office and confiscate your devices. And there is a 5-year prison jail term, or a fine of up to 240 Ghana cedis under the Section 59A of the Cybersecurity Bill 2025. So the law, according to this new amendment, gives the CSA as an authority to be able to enter workplaces and without a warrant upon what they believe, they just take that on. It's almost like what Nigeria had with the SARS, where there was abuse of power. So this is a reflection a lot of people are getting from that amendment, and the fine and all the intricacies around that document seem to pose the impression that the CSA officer has a lot more power than your usual Ghanaian police in terms of cybersecurity. And however, we must be sure that we are separating these two offices, okay? The police necessarily is to protect lives and property of the people living in that country, but the CSA inspectors are going to be doing something different, which is cybersecurity. So you just be aware of what this means, okay? So another thing is that they can also freeze, and then probably when they bring you in for investigation, you can actually then defend yourself. Okay, Nigeria suffered that a lot with the NSAS, and that led to the NSAS protest. So we must be very careful. It's almost a very thin line, right, between what they are trying to do and the interpretation thereof, because officers can then interpret it the way they see fit, unless there is a very clear, distinct, unambiguous explanation of the CSA bill for the common, not very educated, not very emotionally intelligent officer to be able to grasp in order not to abuse this power, okay? According to the document, again, from my understanding, it has the authority to freeze your bank account, seize your properties if they suspect you of cybercrime before any court decides if you're guilty. And that is a very tricky part, right? They can hold and access your data to recover evidence. So these are some of the issues that people are crying foul and woe about. the Bill of Amendment also is tricky in the sense that they could include banks, schools, ISPs, fintechs, and even startups. So once you're labeled by the CSA, they can monitor or control your operations. So the National Intelligence Bureau, which is the NIB, and the National Signals Bureau, NSB, will sit on the CSA board. Civilian cybersecurity, according to this, will be merged with state civil surveillance, okay? They will have eyes on every private sector in the state and their systems too. So if you're into IT, you're into blockchain, you're into trade, forex, and all that kind of stuff, so long as your business is still clean, you're not into any fraudulent business, you're most likely safe. But if you're into anything that is slightly shady, you plan to commit some cybercrime, you plan to defraud the banking system or anything related to tech and cybersecurity, social media, and all that stuff, you might actually get into trouble. So this needs to spread. Please do repost, share to your friends and family so that everybody is aware. Ignorance in this sense is not going to be accepted because that document is out there. The 34-page document. I've left the link in the description below. Please have a look at it. Take your time and read that document. And one of the things this does is that the government decides which technologies are safe to exist and which ones can get blocked. So that also sort of touches on people who have the inclination towards innovation and the businesses that want to come into Ghana, and also limiting the digital freedom for those people, okay, for people living in Ghana. So CSA officers can also demand your data, audit your systems, and make copies of your files during checks. And if you refuse, it's likely a criminal offense. So no independent oversight. They refuse to also hand over your data, your information, and you can be fined up to 120,000 Ghana cedis or 3 years imprisonment. So please let us take note of the things that this bill can do. CSA conflict of interest also is something that also borders around that. We're able to separate the different officers, the different security agencies that are doing one thing or the other in Ghana to ensure that there is no clash. So because that is an important issue. And the CSA authority is going to be solely handling a lot of things unless Ghana would, in good faith, have an independent body, possibly outside Ghana, that will be overseeing this. They can be in Ghana, but they are not Ghanaians, they are not part of the system. A neutral body that's going to ensure that's going to be inspecting what they do and the excesses of this authority that will be willed to these people. The Cybersecurity Amendment Bill 2025, it goes beyond just protecting citizens from hackers. It gives the government the sweeping power over data technology whilst in the digital space. So Ghana needs to ensure that the cybersecurity law is what it's meant to be, and it's not going to limit privacy, it's not going to limit free speech or innovation and democracy as well. We need to ensure that this bill is as transparent, independent as possible, and there is an independent, neutral body that is overseeing what they do, checks and balances, and the citizens are consulted before this becomes law. All right then, if you have your thoughts about this, please do leave your comments in the comment section below. This is some of the things we also have seen in Nigeria with the EFCC. There's been serious abuse of the EFCC, and we have seen how that is turning out in different parts of Nigeria, affecting a lot of stuff. So Ghana might want to take a cue from the rest of their neighbors, Nigeria for one, to ensure that this is an acceptable law should it pass into law that is accepted by Ghanaians. I wish Ghana all the best. All right, you have thoughts? Please do leave it in the comment section below. Try and subscribe. Thank you. Others to interpret it in your different languages. Trigan. Let everybody, get to know about this bill that's going to be passed and what the implications are. And feel free to retranslate this into your different languages. All right, then. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is just the lover of Ghana. I'll see you later.